Hello everybody, this is Josh Bycer from GameWisdom.com. Welcome to today's Critical Thought. Before we get going with that, just wanted to give you guys a quick update. As you know, things are moving along with the Patreon campaign, and we still haven't hit the monthly funding we need. So please, if you are interested in supporting Game Wisdom, go to our Patreon campaign. You'll find a link right along there. Donations would be greatly appreciated. As we can hit that first goal, it would mean a lot in terms of allowing me to keep going and keep putting out great content. But let's get going with today's critical thought, and that is going to be the rise and fall of Rock Band. Got my old Stratocaster. I think it's from the first Rock Band guitar here. I haven't used this in like a few years. It's very dusty too. Rock Band was really one of the biggest party games and really took over things back in the late thousands. Of course, developed by Harmonix Studios under Guitar Hero to begin with. The Guitar Hero, we'll start with Guitar Hero and we'll transition to Rock Band in a few minutes, was basically their attempt at streamlining and essentially embellishing the old Simon Says kind of gameplay, but with the added attraction of live music or actual music from famous bands, as well as having a massive peripheral like this. Keep the peripheral in the back of your mind because that is going to be a major point we're going to come back to. So they obviously partnered up with both a publisher at the time, I think it was Activision, as well as Red Octane, to develop the peripherals, because again, Harmonix was a software company. Of course, getting the licenses was no easy task, but they would succeed, and Rock Band became the quintessential holiday game. I remember driving into Philly one night to find a random GameStop that still had one copy of it left. And Guitar Hero was great. It was the first game, so there wasn't anything like it at the time. There were, of course, music-based games such as Dance Dance Revolution and that Japanese drumming game whose name escapes me at the moment. But this was the first time that Western audiences really got a music game for them. You had hits from all the decades, everything from Joan Jett to Ziggy Stardust to Black Sabbath, Pantera, and probably more bands that I'm forgetting at the moment. And it sold well enough that they did a Guitar Hero 2 using the same guitar controller, and it did amazingly well. After that is when things started to change. Harmonix wanted to continue to explore the party-based side of things, while their publisher Activision wanted them to just keep making the same game, maybe expanding on the difficulty. So they got out and it was handed to a new developer. I want to say Neversoft, but my memory escapes me for Guitar Hero 3. We'll come back to them in a few minutes. So Harmonix went with EA, they stuck with Red Octane, and they created Rock Band, which cleverly was a way of them continuing the Guitar Hero gameplay, but with a different brand and IP. And what made the game work was this was never before seen off the arcade, was to have this essentially 4-player mode between main guitar, bass, drums, and microphone. So essentially you had the whole package there. And again, continuing their claim, they had all the major names, just a huge, great soundtrack. Songs, I remember playing CCR's Fortunate Son, Jefferson Airplane, The Who, Nine Inch Nails, a lot more songs from modern audiences which I don't follow, and it was amazing. Again, this was the first time we really saw a party-based game that it really just took over in a sense. And it really did take over. If you've ever tried staying up all 4 in your living room or your den, it was a nightmare. Rock Band, of course, went on to Rock Band 2, 3, and 4. But things definitely changed during that period between Rock Band and, I would say, Rock Band 3, and of course another big name we'll get back to in a second. As anyone knows, when something big and popular comes out, Other developers will attempt to cash in or attempt to grow things on their own. And going back to my piece on the peripheral wars, this is what kind of happened. For every game that came out, you needed a new peripheral. And Rock Band was certainly no exception. You had the Guitar Hero controller, you had the Guitar Hero 3 controller, there was the Beatles Rock Band set, there was the Rock Band set, and then every Rock Band, I'm holding the guitar so I can't hold it in my other hand, every set or every game on the Rock Band series had its own kit and peripherals for you to buy. And these things weren't cheap. I think at one point they were going for like $50, $60 for a guitar, and I think like $90 for the Pro Edition. So those pretenders, or the copycats as they were actually doing some very interesting things. There was, of course, Just Dance doing the music-based thing with Kinect, DJ Hero, which apparently there was an allure for doing DJing on your consoles, and then there was Guitar Hero. And Guitar Hero, quite interestingly, went in a different direction. While they still kept with the same basic theme of the Simon Says gameplay and music, they decided to go for a more hardcore angle. With Guitar Hero 3 and I believe Guitar Hero 4, I honestly don't remember when Guitar Hero 4 and then Live, or Guitar Hero Live. That's part of the problem with these peripheral games. They decided to embrace more of the score chasers. They made things a lot more rapid, a lot more challenging, and essentially made a lot more hardcore. And while you would think that would dissuade people, it really created that niche of the people who really got into it. Now, of course, the other big name quote-unquote copycat was Rocksmith, developed by Ubisoft. This was their attempt at essentially going with a more technical, more educational form. This was the game that they promoted that you could literally learn how to play guitar. As you can see with my Rock Band Stratocaster here, hopefully it won't get stuck in my wires, you're not exactly strumming as you would a real guitar. It's all button presses. It's just laid out more organically here compared to a gamepad. And Rocksmith succeeded really well, and again, establishing itself as a niche. If you want the hardcore score chasing, there was Guitar Hero. If you want a more practical or an educational slant, there was Rocksmith. So here's the point where I assume you're going to get my question. What happened with Rock Band? Well, following Rock Band, I think it was 3? Again, it's all muddy in my head. They approach, of course, one of the biggest bands of all time, the Beatles, to do the Beatles Rock Band. This was essentially a standalone expansion featuring a wide variety of songs from the Beatles, and more, including DLC. And I really enjoyed it. This was my first time really learning and listening to the Beatles music and sort of seeing the history there. And I think in terms of like its place in history, I think it will stand quite tall. But for a game perspective, there were some obvious issues. The first one being all the songs were locked to the Beatles Rock Band. When they did the AC/DC expansion pack, you could play it standalone, or you could port or import the songs into Rock Band. I think it was 2 at the time, not with the Beatles. Obviously, there was most likely some licensing agreements, and the fact that they supposedly said that the songs wouldn't work without their dreamscape scenes. But it was definitely a hit, and wouldn't be the only hit that this kind of licensing would bring to Rock Band. Of course, licensing the Beatles also meant a lot of money spent, and I think the game definitely did not earn back enough. They were planning, I think, to eventually release the whole Beatles catalog for the game. I think we only got 2, maybe 3 bonus albums. I don't think they even finished the albums either. And then we got to sort of the downward spiral or downward decline of Rock Band. With Rock Band 3 and then recently with Rock Band 4, the series malaise started to take effect. Again, Harmonix was approaching things strictly from a party atmosphere. And while that's commendable, it also meant that the series really wasn't evolving. Their biggest claim was the Pro mode, and this is when they brought out the Pro versions of their instruments. Basically, it added more notes to play, made things more challenging. And that was a good idea, but it also added to this fatigue, specifically in the peripheral department. As I said, playing a game like Rock Band is not cheap. You have to buy the game, you have to buy every peripheral. When they release updates, you have to buy those peripherals. And then when they start doing, series iterations and they keep doing enhancements, there's very little carryover. Now, the songs could be ported and imported to future games, and that was a very smart move by Harmonix. But hold on to that, because we'll get back to that in a minute. However, with these peripherals, I have a garage of this stuff. I actually had to sell one of my kits I wasn't using just because I rarely had time for it. But the problem is that the Rock Band series, and by extension the peripheral market, requires such a commitment of time, money, and space to get the most out of it. So if you don't have that, it's just worthless to you. And we've seen just this huge decline in this peripheral market. With Rock Band 4, it definitely didn't meet as much of the standards and praise as the previous games, because again, we've seen this happen 3 times over, not counting the original Guitar Heroes. Now, what happened though following that, and this is kind of another big watershed moment for Harmonix and where this problem happened. Following Rock Band 4 for the consoles, they decided to try expanding to the PC for the first time. So they did a FIG crowdfunding campaign, and this was to bring Rock Band 4 over. And it sounds great, bringing a series that was never on the PC to the PC. There's just one major caveat. All the songs, everything that you could have bought with Rock Band 1, 2, 3, Beatles, AC/DC, the like, weren't transferable, which meant that everyone who was going to buy Rock Band for the PC or support it, guess what? They would have to buy it all again. And as a frame of reference, there is easily at this point over $400 or $500 worth of DLC. And I may be very low on that front. If their songs are like $2 to $3 a pop, and that's when I was thinking back in the days with Rock Band 1 and 2, it gets frighteningly expensive. Oh, and of course, if you bought on the PC, you would need to buy special USB compatible peripherals, adding more money to it. And guess what happened? The FIG campaign dived and sunk and crashed and burned, bit the farm, anything else you want to say. And this is the problem. And one of the bigger issues with the Rock Band series, again, what they should have done from the beginning is try to establish this as a platform. They were doing hints and pieces of this throughout Rock Band 1 through 4, with the ability to import songs, transfer things. But if they wanted to hit everything and build this as a completed brand, it should have been PC first. Or more importantly, the foundation or the architecture for the system should have been available. Picture for a second if they did something similar to Steam from the get-go. You create an account, you tie your songs to that, and that's transferable to any Rock Band game. If I want to play Rock Band 2 on my Xbox 360 and then switch to Rock Band 4 on my PS4, those songs would just be tied to my account. It's the kind of cloud saving and cloud accessibility that has made Steam very popular. Unfortunately, they didn't do that, and for probably obvious reasons. It will have cost a lot more money and will have required a lot more licensing deals. Remember, whenever you're licensing a popular IP, there is a lot of work that goes into that. Be it pinball, movies, actors, famous music, you name it. There are licensing deals and all kinds of crazy loops to jump through. If they would have done it, would it have saved Rock Band 4 and the Rock Band network? I don't know. I don't have the answer to that. But I think it would have left them in a much more stable base. The other issue, I think, and one thing that I know would never have happened but would have helped, would have been some way to sort of trade in your peripherals. You know, again, once I'm done with this Rock Band 1 Stratocaster, why would I need this in favor of the Rock Band 3 or 4? The answer is you wouldn't. It just takes up space. Another issue, there were some technical or hardware issues with some of these pieces. For instance, my drum kit for Rock Band 1, I could never get it to work properly. There are cases where it would just literally not register when I would hit things. And I actually did, I think, 2 or 3 of their warranty program. I'd actually mail my kit back, they sent me another one, it didn't work, etc., etc. Now, of course, there were third parties. I think there was a time where the Mad Catz Stratocaster for Guitar Hero, I think it was Guitar Hero 3, was a superior option. And I'm pretty sure I have that around here. I don't know where, but it's somewhere. So where does that leave Harmonix in the Rock Band series? I really don't know. I would like to say that they will bounce back, you know, like the VH1 behind the music stuff, but at this point, considering how things have changed and evolved, I don't know if Rock Band 5 or whatever will have as much of an impact or will continue this series as well as previous games. I think things have definitely transitioned into whether it's the score chasing of Guitar Hero or the more practical application of Rocksmith. And again, these series work because they know they're not going after the Rock Band formula. They're trying to do something differently. And when you combine similar gameplay with expensive peripherals and a lot of commitment to them, it just leads to series fatigue very fast. So this critical thought's been going on for quite a long time. I'm trying to keep these short, but I'm picking these big topics. If you have a topic you would like to suggest, be sure to leave that in the comments below. But otherwise, I'm going to end things here. Thanks again for tuning in, and I'll be back tomorrow with another critical thought. Take care. Thanks for watching the video, everybody. If you enjoyed it, be sure to like and subscribe to the channel. Leave a comment, of course, share with your friends. It always helps out. Check out game-wisdom.com, where I examine the art and science of games. You can follow me on Twitch and Twitter under GW Bycer for the latest updates of new content. And be sure to check out our Patreon campaign. You can find us on Patreon under Game Wisdom if you would like to donate and help contribute to keeping Game Wisdom going. Your donations can not only give us the monthly funding we need to keep supporting ourselves, but if we can hit some goals, it will mean more great content for you, and there are some nifty little rewards there as well. Thanks for watching this video, and be sure to tune into the next one real soon.